Welcome to a neutral match reaction, the Manchester Derby, where it was Manchester United nil, Manchester City 3. My name is Mike, so I am a West Ham fan if you don't know me already. Make sure to subscribe because I'm on the road to 200 subscribers and I want to get there before the end of the year. I do neutral match reactions for some of the bigger games around Premier League teams, whether they're in the Champions League or Europa League, etc. And some of the big games in the Premier League that are not West Ham as well. And yeah, I'm going to speak from a neutral perspective. And if you don't know me, I'm quite a big hater of Man United, quite fond of Manchester City. And so I was quite happy with Manchester City winning. And yeah, they deservedly won 3-0. It gave me shades of how on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last season from when Man United lost, I think it was 2-0 at Old Trafford. Against Manchester City, where City got 2 goals and then started passing it around. I think with Manchester City, you can never excuse when they have an injury specifically. But we saw how big of a miss Rodri was, and I think if you're a club like Manchester City and someone like as big as Rodri will get injured, I think with the resources and how big of a club they are and how ambitious they are, they should always have someone that they're probably not going to find someone that's just as good, but someone that they can mould in the same position, maybe some experience that could come in. Because obviously Calvin Phillips is clearly not trusted by Pep Guardiola. And to be honest with you, it went kind of how I would expect it. I didn't know what the score would be. I think I predicted 2-0. I didn't think it would be a battering. And the only reason why I didn't think it would be a battering was because I just thought that Man United maybe would give it a go because of the whole Bobby Charlton thing and because it's a Manchester derby at Old Trafford. And I was quite surprised that maybe it's because he wasn't fully fit that Varane didn't play because it was Evans and Maguire that started and Lindelof at left back. I thought this was Johnny Evans showed his age today. And Johnny Evans has been a great centre back over the years, don't get me wrong. And probably the reason why Maguire got the move to Man United in the first place. Same thing of why people thought Cagliari Soyuncu was good. That was all Johnny Evans. But to be fair, Maguire held his own. I'm not a fan of Maguire at all. I did not want him at West Ham, but Maguire did really well for his standards. And I didn't think it was like a masterclass centre back performance, but I thought I have low expectations of Harry Maguire. So him putting that sort of performance in, fair play. He's carried on a bit of form. And I was seeing if he could do it in a big game. Carry on into a big game like the Manchester Derby. And you can't really blame the goals on him. I think maybe the last goal, he's just walking. But a lot of Man United players don't have the character and have a bad attitude. And we're going to come to a certain number 8 in a minute. But if we talk about how good Manchester City were, the dynamic of having Diaz and Walker, for example, usually it'll be Nathan Ake. Today it was Gavardio. Didn't have anything to do, really. And then John Stones going into midfield. That's when you're seeing this new kind of Manchester City team at the best. A lot of these players have been here a long time. But with Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez, has changed everything pretty much. And with Foden and Grealish were amazing. And you had a feeling Doku wasn't going to play today because Grealish is experienced and he recycles possession very well. And he turns up usually for these Manchester derbies. He usually plays quite well, even when Wan-Bissaka was playing. I think Grealish gave it a good go. It's very hard to get past Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but today was Dalot. I didn't think Dalot was awful, but Grealish gave it a go, and I think Grealish played really well. I know a lot of criticism since, ironically, Doku played against us and he scored that amazing goal. They've got different types of players they can play out wide now, whether it's Foden, Silva, Doku or Grealish that go out there. Maybe Alvarez might fill in there. They've got different types of players for what they need. And listen, they were Manchester City at their best. They just kept recycling possession, draw you in and just keep passing the ball around, slow the game down sometimes, and then speed it up when you get to the attack. Is exactly what Bernardo Silva said in his interview. Erling Haaland coming back into form, and even though people called it a goal drought for his standards, because that's how many goals he scored last season. And listen, I think some of the criticism is a bit harsh. He's specifically a service striker. That's all you're going to get from him, but he's just that good at what he does. Man United got taught a footballing lesson, and how many times are we going to see Bruno Fernandes miss a big game? I know he's played off the right, fair enough. Not played in his best position, but we talk about early, like sorry, I can't get my words out. The debate goes on about Martin Odegaard, about him turning up at big games, and he doesn't sometimes, and he does sometimes. Bruno Fernandes is the king of missing big games. Like, that is the king of missing big games. He's definitely not captain material. I think Roy Keane and Gary Neville had a spot on about that, about his whinging and him trying to kick people and all that. Just loses his head too much. For someone of that experience, in terms of you've played football for a long time now, you are not 19. You are playing like a 19-year-old. I expect that stuff from Garnacho. You know, someone like Garnacho, who from Argentina, you're a bit fiery. So I expect you to go around kicking players, because you're the guy that came through the academy of Manchester United. I don't expect Bruno Fernandes to do that. I think he's very overrated in general. I think he's got, I always try to preface this by saying, I think he's got a great final ball. And I think he's got a great shot on him. But if you're a midfielder and you're number 10, you try and get into spaces. You try and, try and connect the play between midfield and attack. Like what Maddison does. I think Maddison and Odegaard are clear of Bruno Fernandes. In my opinion, I just think they bring more for what number 10 is. And I don't think Bruno Fernandes does that. That might just be me. I know a lot of Man United fans love him. Because he goes running around going, yeah, in front of the fans all the time. I get that with Pablo Fornals at my club. And I actually think Fornals is better. And if you know me, I am not a fan of Fornals. But listen, I don't know what Man United are. And they were having this debate on a Super Sunday studio. What are Man United when they have the ball? What are Man United when they don't have the ball? Has Ten Hag suddenly become a pragmatist overnight? Has he always been like this at Ajax? Because I assume at Ajax that you play Ajax football, Dutch football, and you know what Dutch football is. Like, the Man United fans are doing all this prop about how he impressed Cruyff when he was 13 as a kid, talking to him, and it's this video talking to him in Dutch about football and stuff. And they were doing all this prop for him. Now they all want him out because he has changed his style suited towards their players, which is not the right thing to do if you want authority at Manchester United. It's very hard to get authority at Manchester United when you've got egos and people that don't want to be there, and you haven't stamped your own authority at this club. You're adjusting for the players. You're not allowing the players to adjust to you. But he signed a lot of players that came from the Dutch league, and it became a meme at first, but it's becoming too out there. Like, he's signing players that only he knows. And that's what he's done. And I know that sacking managers isn't a good idea all the time. And I do agree with the people that said some of the players that are Man United that have gone through all these batterings before should go before Ten Hag. I agree. But I think get them all out. You don't need to proper restart. And when I mean rebuild, I don't mean some of these rebuilds that you've been doing over the years since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. I mean rebuild as in, like, the whole structure. If you was a serious football club, you'd have a director of football and you let him pick the manager that he wants. Obviously, if it doesn't go well, you sack the director of football, then you have to start again then, and that's what big clubs do. You make those kind of mistakes and you take those risks to win the big trophies. But Ten Hag's not going to do anything any bigger than a Carabao Cup they did last season. And none of these players are going to improve. I think Rashford was, in my opinion, ruined by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the way he was overplayed all the time. I don't think Rashford does much outside of goal scoring. I think he has the skill to take on players, but I don't think, it just doesn't seem to think that he follows instruction. I think he's a bit like Bruno Fernandes. They just do their own thing on the pitch, and they don't really try for the team. And that's how Man United usually get caught out half the time on the pitch. The balance of the midfield hasn't been there for years. So I don't really get taken off Amrabat and putting on someone like Mason Mount, who, to me, is just an energy merchant who is a bit like Bruno Fernandes, has a good strike on him. Bruno probably has a better final ball. I think I prefer to have Mount in my team, maybe because of the versatility, but to be honest, neither of them are that good. I know they had a bit of a backwards back four, assuming Reguilon and Varane weren't fully fit. But again, just my opinion, obviously Manchester City played them off the park, and deservedly so, from the goalkeeper to the striker, throughout their whole spine and throughout their manager. You got a spot on. Pep Guardiola didn't overthink. He played how he wanted to. I know they could say that they lost to Arsenal because of missing Rodri, but it's still one player. You should have a player that's going to come in and probably do a good job in that position as well. But I don't think they lost the Arsenal game because of Rodri. I think they lost the Arsenal game because Arsenal scored a deflected shot. It's quite simple. But yeah, Man City are going to win the league comfortably, and I'm fine with that. Tottenham are doing really well right now, but I'm not afraid of Tottenham that they're going to win the league. I'm afraid of Tottenham that they're going to go back in the Champions League. And I think Tottenham will comfortably do that, probably. But yeah, that's just my opinion. As I said, make sure to subscribe if you are new and like the video. My social medias are GVO Mikes on Twitter and Instagram. So make sure to check that out. And if you want to see more videos from me, check out my West Ham reaction to Everton where we lost 1-0. And I will have the aftermath of the West Ham-Everton game either on a Monday or on a Tuesday. And you'll get the match reaction for the West Ham-Arsenal Carabao Cup game on a Wednesday. And so on and so forth. And just subscribe, man. We're on the rise and we want to hit 200 subscribers before the year ends. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.